At Sox Park, meantime, no baseball, but another big event and potentially a sold-out crowd, and that is the mass and message from Chicago's own Pope Leo XIV. A big afternoon scheduled at Sox Park, and let's check in with our Dorothy Tucker. She's there live for us right now. Hi, Dorothy.
Hi, Joe. Well, the program has started here at Wright Field. On the stage, they're taking a little bit of a break, but just a few minutes ago, the choir from Leo High School, they performed Lift Every Voice and Sing, and the crowd went wild. Now, you have to remember that the White Sox, they are celebrating the Pope because he has been a fan of this team since he was a kid growing up in Dalton. In fact, I remember last month when I had the pleasure of interviewing his brother John, he told me that when they were kids, when they were in the parish, that when they did something good, their reward was the opportunity to come to a White Sox game. So his love for this team goes back decades, and it is quite deep. Now, the last time the Pope, who of course back then was Father Robert Prevost, the last time he was in this stadium was 2005 when he came to watch the White Sox play Houston in Game 1 of the World Series. He sat in section 140. Row 19, seat 2. He came with a friend by the name of Ed Schmidt. We'll find out a little bit later if anybody is sitting in that seat. A mirror of the Pope is now installed at the top of section 140. It is expected to be a favorite spot for people to take pictures. That mural is a kind of a combination of the Pope before, but also the Pope now waving. Now, let's now go and talk to some of those people. Now, one of the things that I have to point out, we talked about how many tickets were sold here, and if you take a look at the stadium, there are definitely still some seats that are not filled yet. That's because people paid $5 to get in, and they might be taking the option to watch it on stream, watch it at home. But there are some people that said, for $5, I'm going to be here no matter what. These are the folks who came from, what did I hear, St. Louis?
Correct, yes.
All right, tell me why you had to be here.
I had to be here because this is such a moment of joy and hope for the future to have such a brilliant, holy man elected to lead our church who's devoted his life to the marginalized and the poorest. It's just hope and joy for the future.
And you're from?
We're from Elmwood Park.
Elmwood Park.
Just outside of Chicago, and we're just so happy to be here. So excited that our Pope is not only from the United States, but from our city.
Okay. And for you, what is it like to share in this moment?
This is really special. To think that somebody from Chicago has been elected.
No, it's okay to get emotional. Everybody has, I've talked to a number of people. No, we're not going to cut. You're going to go, why is this so emotional for you?
Because he's occupying the chair of St. Peter. He's from here.
Yeah, this was his home, so you know him well. He is definitely one of our own. All right, one more. Can we have time for one more? Because you drove here, flew here, what?
Well, I flew here, but I was scheduled to be in the city. Okay. But once I heard that the Pope, they were going to have a celebration, I right away was very happy and I wanted to participate. So I all feel that, you have spirituality in your life, you could always use a little more, so that's why I'm here.
All right, the program continues. We're going to hit about 2:30, and remember, at 3 o'clock, that is when, on the Jumbotron up there, Pope Leo will actually speak to this crowd. And he's going to speak for about 7.5 minutes, and then you're going to hear from some more dignitaries. There's going to be a panel discussion. At 4 o'clock, a little bit after 4 o'clock, is when Cardinal Supich is going to give the Mass. Joe, this is a moment, again, that these people have been kind of waiting for the last month or so when the White Sox put this together, and they are really very happy to be here.
Yeah.
And go, Joe, back to you.
Yes, you can tell, Dorothy, obviously emotional for many of them. I have to ask you too, Dorothy, I'm sure many of the people you're talking with today, it's become such a Chicago story. And it was highlighted just recently, I think last week. I hope you can hear me. I know the music's loud. When there was the picture of the Pope in his robe with a Sox hat on, and people thought it had been like AI generated or photoshopped in some way, but no, he was at the Vatican with a Sox hat on.
That's right. That's right. From what I remember, I think I read that story. There was a newlywed couple. They were there. They happened to be Red Sox fans, but they had the White Sox cap, and they gave it to the Pope. They had an opportunity to meet him. They gave it to the Pope, and he put it on. Again, that kind of tells you just what his connection is to this team and what his connection is to this city. Again, you've got seats that are not necessarily filled here, but those who are here, as you heard, they're very emotional. They're happy they turned out for this event. The White Sox have gone out of their way to make sure that there are things for people to do. They've got cutouts where you can actually take a picture of the Pope. They also have the mural. There's a long line, and we're going to get pictures of that a little bit later. There's a long line outside of that mural that is at the top of section 140 where people can take pictures of the Pope. People are taking advantage of this, and the White Sox are making sure that people can stay and be connected to this moment.
Dorothy, you mentioned the interview you did with the Pope's brother. The stories he told stood out to me at the time, and they still do. And it goes to the fact that there were people on the street who, even when he was in first grade, felt like he's going to be a pope.
Yeah, his brother John told me this story when he was like, well, first of all, two stories that I will never forget. One, when other kids wanted to play cops and robbers or, cowboys and Indians or something, he wanted to take a tablecloth, put it over an ironing board, and he wanted his brothers to play church with him. They had to take, he was the one who was running the service, and he wanted to play church. And they said that at the time, he may have only been 5 or 6 years old. The other story that I will never forget is the first grade teacher, his brother John said the first grade teacher knew that he was special. When he was just 6 years old, he could recite all of the various parishes in the Bible. He knew the scripture. He enjoyed reciting the scripture. And he says that she told the family then, one day, he's going to be Pope. She knew it, and we are all so proud of the fact that what she predicted came true.
Yeah,
Joe,
it was
Joe,
just,
I'm going to toss it back to you. Are we close to the program? The program, it's supposed to start any minute. But I'll tell you. Okay, you gotta look here because it looks like they are telling you all about Chicago. They've been showing video of his bio throughout the last hour or so. But now this looks like this is the beginning of this program. So let us take a close look at that.
Churches, brick by brick, in every neighborhood across the city. It built a city so rooted in belief, it gave rise to a pope.